The bullet strikes the enemy machine gunner before anyone hears the shot. One moment he's firing, sustained bursts toward the trapped Ranger patrol. The next, he's slumping over his weapon, dead before his brain registers what happened. 734 meters away, concealed in a hide position built from rocks and vegetation, Staff Sergeant Farah Mitchell works her bolt and acquires her next target. Through her scope, she can see the chaos below. 8 Army Rangers pinned in a rocky depression, surrounded by 42 enemy fighters who are systematically tightening the noose. She wasn't supposed to be here. Her mission: observe enemy supply routes for 5 days, document patterns, report intelligence. Not engage, not intervene. Just watch and disappear. But 3 minutes ago, the desperate radio call came through. Any station, this is Shadow 2. We are surrounded. Repeat, we are surrounded. Enemy forces estimate 40 plus. We have casualties. Request immediate support. Over. Command's response was immediate and devastating. Shadow 2, Overwatch acknowledges. QRF is inbound. ETA 30 minutes. Hold position and maintain defensive perimeter. 30 minutes. Through her scope, Farah can see the enemy massing for final assault. The Rangers have maybe 10 minutes before they're overrun. She counts 3 heavy machine gun positions providing suppressive fire. 6-man assault squad moving to attack position, another 6 fighters flanking from the south, more enemies moving from a fortified compound 2 kilometers away. The math is brutal. 42 enemy fighters against 8 Rangers who are low on ammunition, have wounded who can't move, and are fighting from a position with inadequate cover. Then, Farah made the call that violated every order she'd been given. She keyed her radio to the Ranger frequency. Shadow 2, this is Phantom 3. I have eyes on your position and eyes on all enemy elements. Give me authorization to engage, and I'll start evening the odds. The Ranger commander's voice carried equal parts desperation and hope. Phantom 3, Shadow 2 actual. Who the hell are you and where are you? I'm the person with a suppressed sniper rifle and 18 rounds that are about to change this fight. Do you want my help or not? Phantom 3, you are authorized to engage. Make it count. Roger, stay defensive. I'm about to drop every heavy weapon position you're facing. This will get loud on their end, quiet on mine. That was 3 minutes ago. Since then, Farah has eliminated the first machine gunner and is already acquiring her second target, another PKM gunner at 698 meters who's still firing, unaware his colleague just died. She controls her breathing, settles her crosshairs on his chest, finds the natural pause between heartbeats, and squeezes the trigger. The suppressed M40A6 coughs. Target 2 drops. Through her scope, she watches the enemy fighters around the silent machine gun look at each other in confusion. They didn't hear a shot, didn't see muzzle flash. Their gunner just stopped. Farah is already acquiring target 3, the third machine gunner at 812 meters. This is the gun position doing the most damage to the Rangers, and it needs to go down now. She compensates for the longer range, adjusts for a slight crosswind, and fires. Across more than 800 meters, the bullet finds its mark. The gunner slumps. All 3 heavy weapons silent in under 3 minutes. Phantom 3, Shadow 2. I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. We can maneuver now. Roger, I've got 15 more targets to eliminate. Stay in cover and let me work. Farah shifts her aim to the 6-man assault squad that's been moving toward the Ranger position. They're spread out, using terrain for cover, professional tactics that make them harder targets. But she has elevation advantage. She has perfect visibility, and she has spent 4 days watching this valley, learning every rock, every shadow, every approach. She engages the lead fighter at 763 meters. He drops. The others freeze, confused. She transitions to the second fighter before they can react. Another shot, another body falling. The remaining 4 assault fighters panic and scatter, but Farah is already tracking the third one. She fires. He stumbles and drops 3 seconds after his squad leader fell. 18 rounds loaded when this started. 15 left now. 15 more enemies who are about to discover that the most dangerous person on a battlefield is the sniper you never knew existed. Before I show you how Farah Mitchell systematically eliminated 18 enemy combatants in 23 minutes and saved an entire Ranger patrol from annihilation, drop a comment telling us where in the world you're watching from and hit subscribe. Because this story proves that sometimes one person with perfect precision can change everything. Now let's get into it. 4 days earlier. The helicopter insertion happens in complete darkness. No lights, no sound except rotor wash that fades quickly as the Black Hawk disappears back toward friendly territory. Staff Sergeant Farah Mitchell and her spotter, Corporal Jesse Romano, are alone in enemy territory with a mission that's straightforward on paper and brutal in execution. Observe enemy supply routes, document patterns, identify high-value targets, duration, 5 to 7 days, rules of engagement, defensive only unless directly engaged. Straightforward, simple, except they're being inserted 12 kilometers behind enemy lines in terrain where getting caught means capture or death. You good? Romano asks as they begin moving away from the landing zone. I'm good. Let's find our position and get invisible. They move through mountainous terrain using night vision, covering 3 kilometers in 2 hours. Slow, deliberate movement that prioritizes silence and concealment over speed. When they reach the ridge overlooking the valley where intelligence says enemy supply routes converge, they begin constructing their hide. Professional scout sniper hides are works of art, natural materials, perfect concealment, positions that allow observation while being completely invisible from any reasonable distance. Farah and Romano spend 6 hours building their primary position, then another 4 constructing a backup position 200 meters away. By dawn of their first day, they're invisible. Someone could walk within 5 meters and never spot them. Through her spotting scope, Farah watches the valley come alive. Enemy vehicles move along dirt roads, fighters establish checkpoints, supply trucks make regular runs. She documents everything: times, routes, vehicle types, personnel numbers. This is some high traffic area, Romano observes, watching through his own scope. Intel was right. This valley is a major logistics hub for them. Farah makes detailed notes, photographs everything through her scope's camera attachment, and transmits encrypted reports twice daily to command. Professional, thorough, exactly what she's trained to do. The work is tedious but critical. Every vehicle tracked, every pattern documented, every piece of intelligence gathered could lead to future operations that save American lives. This is the unglamorous side of special operations. Hours of patient observation in uncomfortable positions, gathering data that others will use to plan missions. On day 2, she spots something interesting. A fortified compound on the valley's eastern edge, high walls, guard towers, serious security, too much security for a simple supply depot. Romano, you seeing this compound at grid November Kilo 4739? Yeah, that's a lot of security for warehouses. Think it's command and control? Or weapon storage. Either way, it's worth documenting. She spends hours watching the compound, noting guard rotations, vehicle movements, personnel patterns, professional intelligence work that might lead to future operations. She observes that guards rotate every 6 hours, that supply vehicles arrive at dawn and dusk, that senior personnel, identifiable by their better equipment and the deference shown by others, visit the compound 3 times daily. All of this goes into her reports. All of this becomes part of the intelligence picture that will eventually lead to action. On day 3, the situation changes. Through her scope, Farah watches American forces, a Ranger patrol conducting reconnaissance, moving through the valley below. 8 operators, professional fieldcraft, maintaining good tactical discipline. We've got friendly forces in the sector, she reports to Romano. Ranger patrol, 8 personnel, looks like they're doing the same thing we are. Should we make contact? Negative. They don't know we're here, and our orders are to stay invisible. We keep watching. But Farah feels uneasy. The Rangers are good, but they're down in the valley where enemy forces can see them. She's on high ground where she can see everything, including enemy forces that are tracking the Ranger patrol. Romano, I'm seeing enemy elements shadowing the Rangers. Multiple positions, looks coordinated. They're setting up an ambush. Should we warn them? Farah hesitates. Breaking radio silence to warn the Rangers would reveal her position and compromise her mission. But letting them walk into an ambush would mean American casualties she could have prevented. The decision takes 3 seconds. Some rules are made to be broken. She makes the call. Shadow 2, this is Phantom 3 on emergency frequency. You have multiple enemy elements tracking your position. Recommend you alter course northeast and avoid grid November Kilo 4827. Acknowledge. Response is immediate. Phantom 3, Shadow 2 copies, altering course. Thanks for the heads up. Can you provide overwatch? Negative, Shadow 2. I'm mission focused elsewhere. Stay sharp. Phantom 3 out. The Rangers alter their route, avoiding the ambush. The enemy forces, frustrated at losing their targets, disperse back to their positions. Crisis averted. But Farah knows the enemy won't give up. They know Americans are operating in this valley. They'll be watching, waiting, preparing a better trap. On day 4, her instinct proves correct. The Ranger Patrol returns to the valley, different route, different time, trying to gather more intelligence, and the enemy is ready this time. 40-plus fighters positioned in a perfect ambush, waiting for the Rangers to enter the kill zone. Farah watches it unfold with growing dread. The Rangers are moving carefully, maintaining security, doing everything right. But they're walking into a trap that's been prepared specifically for them. Romano, they're about to get hit. Multiple enemy positions, coordinated ambush. This is going to be bad. Do we intervene? Our orders are observe only unless directly engaged. Farah, if we don't do something, those Rangers are dead. She knows he's right. Knows that 8 Americans are about to be killed because she's following orders to stay invisible and observe. Then the ambush is triggered. The ambush. It happens fast. The Rangers are moving through a narrow section of the valley when enemy fire erupts from 3 directions simultaneously. Heavy machine guns, rifles, coordinated fire that pins the Rangers in a depression with minimal cover. Through her scope, Farah watches the Ranger point man go down immediately. He takes multiple hits and falls hard. Watches the team scramble for cover, dragging their wounded teammate with them. Watches them return fire against overwhelming odds, their muzzle flashes giving away positions that draw even more enemy fire. The radio transmission comes through, the Ranger commander's voice tight with controlled panic. Any station, this is Shadow 2. We are surrounded. Repeat, we are surrounded. Enemy forces estimate 40+. We have casualties. Request immediate support. Over. Farah's hands tighten on her rifle. She can see everything from her elevated position. Every enemy position, every approach, every piece of cover. She has perfect angles on at least 18 enemy fighters who are moving to assault positions. Command responds with the answer she knew was coming. Shadow 2, Overwatch acknowledges. QRF is inbound, ETA 30 minutes. Hold position and maintain defensive perimeter. 30 minutes. Through her scope, Farah can see the enemy massing for assault. They're coordinating, moving with purpose, preparing to overrun the Ranger position with overwhelming force. The Rangers have maybe 10 minutes before they're completely overrun and killed. She looks at Romano. I'm going to engage. That's not our mission. We're supposed to observe only. Our mission just changed. I'm not watching Americans die when I can stop it. You can report me when we get back, but right now, I'm taking these shots. Romano studies her face for a moment, then nods. Then I'm spotting for you. Let's save some Rangers. She keys her radio to the Ranger frequency. Shadow 2, this is Phantom 3. I have eyes on your position and eyes on all enemy elements. Give me authorization to engage, and I'll start evening the odds. The Ranger commander's response authorizes her to engage. Farah settles into her rifle and begins the systematic elimination of threats. Target 1 through 6, the machine gun positions. Farah's first priority is the heavy weapons. 3 enemy machine gun positions are providing suppressive fire that's keeping the Rangers pinned. If she can eliminate those, the Rangers can maneuver and defend more effectively. Target 1. PKM machine gunner, 734 meters, elevated position behind sandbags. She can see his head and shoulders as he fires bursts toward the Ranger position. Farah controls her breathing. Wind is minimal, 2 miles per hour from the west. Temperature is stable. Range is within her rifle's optimal performance envelope. She settles her crosshairs on the gunner's chest, compensates for the slight upward angle, finds her natural respiratory pause, and squeezes the trigger. The suppressed M40A6 makes a sound like a hard cough. The bullet travels 734 meters in just over a second and strikes exactly where she aimed. The gunner slumps over his weapon. Time elapsed, 45 seconds. The machine gun falls silent. The enemy fighters nearby look around, confused about what just happened. They didn't hear the shot, didn't see the muzzle flash from Farah's suppressed weapon. Their gunner just stopped firing. Target 2. Second machine gunner, 698 meters, positioned in a rocky outcrop. He's firing sustained bursts, unaware his colleague just died. Farah works her bolt, smooth, practiced, chambers a fresh round, acquires her target. This gunner is partially concealed behind rocks, but she has a clear shot on his head and upper chest. She fires. The suppressed rifle coughs. Target 2 drops. Time elapsed, 1 minute, 30 seconds. Target 3. Third machine gunner, 812 meters, the farthest position. This is a longer shot, near the edge of her rifle's effective range in current conditions. But this gun position has the best angle on the Rangers and needs to be silenced immediately. Farah adjusts for the increased range, compensates for a slight crosswind she can feel on her face. The temperature has dropped slightly since dawn, affecting air density and trajectory. She calculates all variables in seconds, the product of thousands of hours of training. She fires. Through her scope, she watches the bullet arc across more than 800 meters, watches it drop slightly as gravity pulls it down, watches it strike the gunner center mass. Target 3 is down. Time elapsed, 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Phantom 3, Shadow 2. I don't know what you're doing, but our suppressive fire just dropped by 70%. Keep it up. Roger, Shadow 2. Eliminating assault elements now. Stay in cover. 3 machine guns silent. Now for the fighters moving to assault the Ranger position. Targets. 4, 5, and 6. An assault squad of 6 fighters is moving toward the Ranger position, using terrain for concealment. They're spread out. Good tactics that make them harder to engage all at once. But Farah has elevation advantage and clear sight lines on all of them. She engages the lead fighter first, 763 meters, moving target. She leads his movement slightly and fires. He drops immediately. The other 5 freeze, trying to figure out what happened. They're looking toward the Ranger position, assuming the shot came from there. They're scanning the wrong direction. Wrong assumption. Fatal mistake. Farah engages the second fighter, 751 meters, stationary target trying to find cover. She fires. He falls before he reaches safety. Now the remaining 4 are panicking, running for cover, but Farah is already tracking the third fighter. She fires. He stumbles and drops. Time elapsed, 5 minutes, 15 seconds. 3 fighters from the assault squad down, 3 still moving. They've scattered, making them harder to engage in quick succession, but they're also disorganized, their assault completely disrupted. Romano, mark the 3 that scattered. I'll come back to them after I hit the other priority targets. Copy, marking their positions. You're doing incredible work. Targets 7 through 12. The flanking element. While Farah was neutralizing the machine guns and assault squad, another group of 6 enemy fighters had been moving to flank the Ranger position from the south. If they succeed, they'll have a clear angle on the Rangers' defensive perimeter and can fire into the Americans from a direction they can't effectively defend. Farah can't let that happen. Target 7. Lead flanking fighter, 689 meters, moving rapidly through rocky terrain. Difficult shot on a fast-moving target through uneven terrain. Farah tracks him through her scope, watching his movement pattern. He's moving in short rushes between cover positions, professional infantry tactics. She waits for him to slow to navigate around a large boulder and fires during that brief pause. Clean hit. Target down. Target 8. Second flanker, 701 meters, now alerted that something is very wrong. He's looking around, trying to identify the threat, weapon raised. He's standing in the open. A fatal mistake. that Farah exploits immediately. She puts a round through his chest. He drops immediately, weapon falling from his hands. Targets 9 and 10. Two fighters moving together, both at approximately 715 meters. They're close enough that Farah needs to engage both quickly before the second one can react to the first falling. She fires at the first. Clean hit. Works her bolt with practiced speed. Transitions to the second fighter. He's already moving, reacting to his partner falling. Farah leads his movement and fires, both down in under 5 seconds. Time elapsed, 8 minutes, 30 seconds. Targets 11 and 12. The final two flankers have found cover and are trying to locate the threat. They're professional enough to know someone is engaging them from an external position. They're scanning the high ground, trying to spot her hide. Farah waits, patient, watching through her scope. She can see them behind their cover, but they're presenting minimal target profiles. One fighter leans out from his cover to scan the ridge where Farah is positioned. For 2 seconds, his upper body is exposed. Farah fires during that window. He drops. The last flanker, seeing his entire squad eliminated by an unseen threat, makes a run for better cover. Panic decision. He's running across open ground at 723 meters. Farah tracks him, leads his movement by 3 body widths to account for his speed and the bullet's travel time, and fires. He goes down mid-stride, momentum carrying his body forward into a tumbling fall. Time elapsed. 10 minutes, 45 seconds. 12 enemy fighters eliminated. 6 more to go. The 3 scattered assault squad members and 3 more she's identified moving to reinforce the attack. Romano's voice comes through her earpiece. "You're at 12 down. This is extraordinary shooting. How you holding up?" "I'm good. 6 more targets, then the Rangers can displace. Let's finish this." Targets 13. Through 18, final elimination. Phantom 3, Shadow 2. Whatever you're doing is working. Enemy pressure is dropping significantly. We can maneuver now. Roger, Shadow 2. I've got 6 more targets to neutralize. Then you should have clear route to displace northeast. Stand by. Farah identifies her remaining targets. The 3 scattered assault squad members have regrouped and are trying to coordinate a new approach, and 3 additional fighters are moving from the fortified compound, probably a quick reaction element responding to the ambush that's going catastrophically wrong for them. Target 13. One of the regrouped assault fighters, 778 meters, taking cover behind a low stone wall. She can see his head and shoulders as he peers around the wall, trying to locate the source of the devastating fire that's decimated his force. Farah waits for him to expose more of himself. Patience is the sniper's greatest weapon. When he leans out to fire toward the Rangers, she has her window. She fires. Clean headshot at 778 meters. The fighter's helmet flies off as he drops. Target 14, second assault fighter, 769 meters, moving to a new position. He's moving fast, clearly terrified. Farah tracks him through her scope and fires while he's mid-stride. He goes down hard, the bullet catching him center mass. Target 15. Third assault fighter, realizing his entire squad has been decimated by an invisible enemy, is trying to withdraw. He's running, abandoning his weapon, just trying to survive. Farah catches him at 791 meters as he runs. One shot. He falls and doesn't move. Time elapsed. 14 minutes, 20 seconds. 3 fighters left. The reinforcement element from the compound. They're moving tactically, using cover, maintaining dispersion. These are professional fighters who've realized something is very wrong and are approaching with appropriate caution. Target 16. Lead element of the reinforcement squad, 843 meters. Long shot, moving target. Farah compensates for range and movement, fires, hit, target down. The other 2 reinforcement fighters immediately go to ground, trying to find cover from a threat they still can't locate. They're scanning the high ground, looking for muzzle flash they'll never see through her suppressor. Target 17. Second reinforcement fighter, 856 meters, partially concealed behind a boulder. Farah can see his legs and lower torso. She aims low and fires. Leg shot, not immediately lethal, but it takes him completely out of the fight. He's screaming, writhing in pain, no longer a threat to anyone. Target 18. Final fighter, now completely panicked. He's running, abandoning his wounded comrade, abandoning his mission, just trying to get away from the invisible death that's claimed 17 of his fellow fighters. Farah tracks him as he runs. Range is increasing, 871 meters, and climbing as he flees. Wind has picked up slightly. She compensates for the movement and increasing distance, adjusting her aim point to account for all variables. She fires. The bullet travels nearly 900 meters in just over 2 seconds and strikes the running fighter between the shoulder blades. He falls hard, skidding across the rocky ground. Time elapsed, 18 minutes, 35 seconds. 18 enemy combatants eliminated, 18 rounds fired, 18 hits, 0 misses. The ambush is completely broken. The enemy force that numbered 42 fighters has been reduced to 24, demoralized, terrified survivors who are already withdrawing. The Rangers have a clear path to displace. Farah keys her radio. Shadow 2, Phantom 3. I count 18 enemy down or disabled. Your flanks are clear. Your suppression is neutralized. Your assault elements are eliminated. Recommend you displace northeast to grid November Kilo 4916 and move to extraction. You've got maybe 10 minutes before enemy reinforcements arrive. Phantom 3, Shadow 2, actual. I don't know who you are or where you are, but you just saved my entire team. We owe you everything. Can we extract you? Negative, Shadow 2. I'm still mission-focused here. Just get your people to safety. Phantom 3 is going dark. Good luck, Rangers. Roger, Phantom 3. We won't forget this. Shadow 2 out. The aftermath. The Ranger Patrol successfully displaces and reaches their extraction point 25 minutes later, carrying their wounded point man who survived the initial ambush. The quick reaction force arrives to find the ambush site littered with enemy casualties and 0 American deaths beyond the point man's injuries. Farah and Romano remain in their hide position for another 30 hours, watching the enemy's response to the disaster. 42 fighters had set up the ambush. 18 were killed by precise sniper fire from a position they never located. The remaining 24 are demoralized, frightened, and no longer operating with confidence or coordination. That was the most incredible shooting I've ever witnessed, Romano says during their second night after the engagement. 18 targets, 18 hits, ranges from 689 to 871 meters, no misses, under pressure, with American lives depending on every shot. I just did what needed doing. No, you did what maybe 10 people in the entire military could do, and you did it knowing you were violating orders and could face serious consequences. When Farah and Romano finally exfiltrate 2 days later, they carry with them detailed intelligence, targeting data, and the knowledge that sometimes breaking orders is the right call. The debriefing is intense. Farah's commander, Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Chen, listens to her report with an expression that cycles between anger, amazement, and reluctant approval. Staff Sergeant Mitchell, you directly violated your rules of engagement. You engaged enemy forces when your orders were to observe, only unless directly threatened. Yes, ma'am. You revealed your position by firing 18 shots from a covert observation post, compromising your mission and endangering yourself and your spotter. Yes, ma'am. And you saved 8 Army Rangers who would have been killed or captured if you'd followed your orders. Chen pauses. That was exceptional marksmanship, exceptional tactical decision-making, and probably the most justified violation of orders I've seen in my career. Ma'am, you're being put in for a commendation, and you're being assigned as the primary sniper for Joint Special Operations missions in this sector. Apparently, after what you did, every Ranger and Special Forces unit in theater is requesting you by name. They're calling you the Ghost because you eliminated 18 enemies who never knew you existed. 3 weeks later, Farah is invited to meet the Ranger Patrol she saved. The meeting happens at a forward operating base, away from official channels. Captain Jake Morrison, the Ranger Patrol commander, shakes her hand with genuine emotion. Staff Sergeant Mitchell, I need you to understand something. When we radioed that we were surrounded, I thought we were all going to die. We were outnumbered 5 to 1, pinned down, out of options. And then you started eliminating threats we couldn't even see. I just did what needed doing, sir. No, you did what most people wouldn't have the skill or courage to do. 18 targets eliminated in 18 minutes with 18 rounds. Not one miss. That's not just skill. That's being an artist with a rifle. That's being the difference between my entire team dying and all of us going home. One of the other Rangers, Sergeant Marcus Webb, the point man who'd been wounded in the initial contact but survived, adds, "Ma'am, you saved my life, saved all our lives. We were done, finished, and then you appeared from nowhere like a ghost and just eliminated every threat around us. If you ever need anything, you call us. Rangers take care of their own, and you're one of us now." 6 months later. The mission comes through routine channels, but Farah recognizes the significance immediately. The fortified compound she'd been observing, the one with too much security for a simple supply depot, has been confirmed as an enemy command center. A joint Ranger Special Forces team is tasked with raiding it, and they've requested Farah as their Overwatch sniper. "You know this compound better than anyone," the operations officer explains during the briefing. "You watched it for 4 days. You know the guard rotations, the patterns, the approaches. We need you providing Overwatch during the raid." Farah studies the compound through the briefing photos and recognizes every detail. "I can do this. I'll need a position with clear sightlines on the guard towers and main compound, and I'll need authorization for immediate engagement if threats appear." "You'll have full authorization. This is your show, Staff Sergeant. Tell us what you need." The operation launches 3 days later. Farah is inserted to a ridge position overlooking the compound, the same general area where she'd been 6 months ago, but with a specific hide position built for this mission. As the Ranger SF team approaches the compound, Farah provides real-time intelligence updates. "Shadow 1, Phantom 3. I have eyes on 4 guard towers, each with 2 personnel. I'm tracking additional patrols, updating your tactical display now." The raid team moves into position. Farah's job is to eliminate any threats that could compromise the mission before they can raise an alarm. Guard Tower 1. 2 sentries at 687 meters. When they turn to face each other to talk, Farah has a 2-second window where both are aligned in her scope. She fires twice in quick succession, 2 suppressed shots within 3 seconds. Both drop silently. Guard Tower 2. 2 sentries at 709 meters. She waits for the perfect moment, when both are facing away from each other, limiting their field of view. Then she eliminates both with precise shots to the head and upper chest. Guard Towers 3 and 4. She repeats the process with methodical precision. 8 sentries eliminated in under 3 minutes with 0 alarms raised. Shadow 1, Phantom 3. All guard towers neutralized. You're clear to approach. The raid team breaches the compound, secures high-value intelligence, and extracts without casualties. Perfect execution enabled by perfect Overwatch. Later, the Ranger team commander approaches Farah. "You know, when we requested you for this mission, some people questioned whether we needed a sniper for a raid. After tonight, nobody's questioning it. You eliminated 8 sentries before they could raise any alarm. Made our job about 100 times easier." "That's what Overwatch is supposed to do, sir. Most snipers can shoot. You can shoot and make tactical decisions that change everything. That's the difference." 2 years later, Master Sergeant Farah Mitchell sits in a briefing room at Special Operations Headquarters, watching a new class of scout snipers learn about real-world applications of their training. The students study the tactical breakdown, the angles, the ranges, the target prioritization, the systematic elimination of threats. The key lessons here, the instructor continues, are patience, precision, and tactical decision-making. The sniper didn't engage all targets simultaneously. She prioritized machine guns first to relieve pressure on the friendlies, then assault elements that were moving to attack, then flanking forces that threatened to envelop the position. Each shot was calculated to maximize impact on the enemy's ability to assault the friendly forces. One student raises his hand. "Sir, the file says this sniper violated her orders to engage. How did that affect her career? Before the instructor can answer, Farah stands from the back of the room where she's been observing. It affected my career by teaching me that sometimes the right call isn't the one that follows orders. It's the one that saves lives. The students turn to look at her, recognition dawning on some faces. Sometimes you have to make decisions that could end your career. Sometimes you have to trust your training and your judgment over what's written in a rule book. And sometimes the most important thing you can do is pull the trigger when people are depending on you, even if nobody authorized you to do it. She walks to the front of the room. Those 18 shots weren't just marksmanship. They were 18 decisions, 18 calculations, 18 moments where I chose to trust my training and take responsibility for the outcome. That's what being a scout sniper means. It's not just shooting. It's being willing to make the hard calls when lives are on the line. The instructor nods. Master Sergeant Mitchell has trained more than 50 snipers who've gone on to successful careers in special operations. She's conducted more than 30 missions as primary sniper for joint operations, and she's recognized as one of the best scout snipers currently serving. After the class, several students approach Farah with questions. One young Marine asks, "Master Sergeant, were you scared when you decided to engage against orders?" Terrified. I knew I could be court-martialed, knew I could lose everything I'd worked for, but I also knew that 8 Rangers would die if I didn't act. The fear of losing my career was nothing compared to the fear of watching Americans die when I could prevent it. How did you stay calm enough to make 18 perfect shots? Because I'd trained thousands of times, because I trusted my skills, and because once I made the decision to engage, I couldn't afford to doubt myself. Doubt gets people killed. Confidence backed by training saves lives. Another student asks, "What was the hardest shot?" Target 18. He was running away at 871 meters. Range was increasing with every second. Wind had picked up. But he was still a threat. He could regroup with others, lead them back, help coordinate a counterattack. I had to make that shot even though it was at the edge of my effective range. That's when training becomes everything. You don't think. You just execute what you've practiced 10,000 times. Present-day Sergeant Major Farah Mitchell, promoted to the highest enlisted rank a few years after her legendary engagement, stands on a range with a new group of scout sniper candidates. She's watching them qualify, evaluating their skills, identifying who has the potential to become elite snipers. One candidate, a young woman who reminds Farah of herself years ago, is struggling with a long-range shot. Wind is tricky. The target is at 900 meters, and she's missed twice. Farah walks over. "What's the problem?" "I can't read this wind, Sergeant Major. It keeps shifting." "So stop trying to read it and start feeling it." Close your eyes. Feel the wind on your face. Is it constant or gusting? Is it coming from one direction or swirling? The candidate closes her eyes, focuses. It's gusting. Coming from the west, but there's a crosswind component from the north. Good. Now, what do you do with that information? Compensate for both, adjust my hold, wait for the gust to pass, then fire in the lull? Exactly. Trust what you're feeling, not what you think you should be feeling. Your body knows things your mind hasn't processed yet. The candidate settles into her rifle, waits for the wind to calm, and fires. The target indicates a hit. Nice shot. Now do it 9 more times. Consistency is what separates good snipers from great ones. As Farah watches the candidates train, she thinks about that day, 6 months into her deployment when she decided to break orders and save 8 Rangers. Thinks about the 18 shots that changed everything, not just for those Rangers, but for her entire career. She'd been a staff sergeant with a promising career. Now she's a sergeant major training the next generation, teaching them not just how to shoot, but how to think, how to make decisions under pressure, how to trust themselves when everything is on the line. All because she made the right call when it mattered most. The most important lesson she teaches isn't about windage or elevation or ballistic calculations. It's about having the courage to make the hard decisions when lives depend on you. About trusting your training even when you're terrified. About being willing to take responsibility for the outcomes of your actions. Because sometimes the most important shot isn't the one that hits the target. It's the one you're willing to take when everyone says you shouldn't. She remembers the radio call that started it all. We are surrounded. Request immediate support. She remembers making the decision to respond, even though her orders said to observe only. She remembers settling into her rifle and beginning the engagement that would define her career. And she remembers the most important lesson, that sometimes one person with the right skills, in the right place, making the right decision, can change everything. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring tales of courage.